Essential tips and tricks for building under the sea, or ocean, or river, or lake. It doesn't matter to me. Hey guys, it's Chad. Today we are going to be looking at some tips and tricks for building underneath water. With the update Aquatic just around the corner for those of you on Java Edition and already out on Bedrock with Phase 1, of course, building under the water is going to be super duper popular coming up. So I have a few tips to keep in mind for your underwater builds.
So here we are inside of Minecraft, and the first tip that I'm going to give you is be aware of which ocean type you're going to be building in. If I hit F3, you can see that over here, this is just, well, that's beach. This is a deep ocean. Over here is just ocean, but right here is a lukewarm ocean. And you can obviously tell that because of the color difference in between the tops of the water. And you may not think that it's a big deal to choose which ocean that you want, or you could also choose a river or whatnot. But the biggest thing that changes is the color that you see around you. In a lukewarm ocean, it'll be kind of a light blue, but in a ocean, and this is just a normal ocean, it'll be a darker blue. And that might change a few things like the silhouette mostly of being able to see things, and it's totally your preference. Let's see if we can find some stuff. There you go, like floating out there. You got some fish and some squid. I find that the brighter background of a lukewarm ocean, so this type of background, makes it a little bit easier to see things off in the distance than the darker background of an ocean. Another thing that changes is the ground. So you can see that there is gravel here on the ground inside of an ocean, but in a lukewarm ocean, it will be sand. So whichever block you would rather have as basically your lawn is what you want to also keep in mind, is between sand and gravel between the ocean and a lukewarm. You can only find the sand in lukewarm oceans. Now we are ready to start building, and I have decided that I'm going to build on this level right here with a little bit extra light. One of the main reasons I'm doing that is because I'm recording a YouTube video and I want you guys to be able to see what I make here. So now we are going to clear away some of this seagrass so that I can build here. Now, next that I have cleared away all of the grass, I want to do kind of the classic thing to do whenever you're building underwater, which is to make a glass dome. Kind of reminds me a little bit of SpongeBob. And so in order to do that, I'm going to use a tool in order to generate the sphere or half sphere that I'm going to use in order to make a dome. And the tool that I'm going to use to do that is Plotz, P-L-O-T-Z. You can find it at plotz.co.uk. We're going to click this sphere creator, and I already counted out, and the size that I'm going to be making is 9. So it's not going to be very, very big. So you just drag this right here to whatever size you want. You want a 256 sphere. Well, that's pretty big, and that's not what we want. We just want a 9, second to last on the size category. One of the cool things is that over here you have a layer selector. So if I rebuild everything, I think I'll actually start here on this layer, and you can switch between 2D and 3D view. So I'm actually going to go down, and there we go. Now we have this layer. So it's going to go up a bit before, instead of just choosing the middle layer, which is this one right here, I'm going to go down and choose the bottom one, and I believe that was 5. Nope, 4. 4 is the correct layer. So we're going to do that. And we can also switch to the 2D view if you want some help in seeing that, or you could switch to the 3D view. So I'm going to create my sphere using the Plotz tool. Now that I have made my sphere, of course, the next step is going to be emptying it of water so that it will be easy to breathe. And in order to do that, we're first going to put down a door, whatever door you choose. I'm going to use this acacia door. And then, of course, we're going to use a way to empty this of water, and you can do it a few different ways. If you happen to have a block that you have a lot of, you can, of course, fill in all of these spots and then remove whatever temporary block this is, and then there will not be any water where you placed those blocks. Now, this can be time consuming, and also you must finish a layer, or basically fill it all in, before you start to pull away, because if there are two water source blocks, like right here, there's a water source block there, and then right on the other side of this block, if you destroy, well, those two will fill in with another source block. So you can't kind of go at it a few times. You have to make sure you do an entire layer before you start to destroy, or you could, kind of destroy as long as you know that there aren't two water source blocks next to each other. Kind of like I'm doing right here, where we kind of destroy this way like this, and then I could destroy everything in between. If you are running low on blocks, you could pull it off that way. But of course, you guys already know the faster way to pull this off is to use our favorite block, sponge. Now, sponge is a little bit difficult to come by. You basically need to have found... you really need to have found, not basically, you absolutely have to have found a ocean monument and have gotten the sponge after you killed the Elder Guardians, unless you had some milk and were able to mine out the sponge really, really quickly, because the Elder Guardians give you mining fatigue, which means that you can't mine at all. So you can't pull the sponge out until they're dead, or if you drink milk really fast and grab the sponge really fast, you could avoid having to kill those Elder Guardians. So once we have the sponge, we can just place it, and it will get rid of a whole bunch of water at once. But we still have the issue of the source blocks that I was talking about with the blocking technique, because if the sponge leaves a few source blocks, say over here in this corner, they can fill in the rest of the water. But if you are pretty good with placing your sponge, you're normally able to get basically all of the water source blocks in an area. Yeah, it looks like we did it. We did it in just a few places. And the cool thing is that you can smelt sponge. Once you have sponge and you pick up some water with it, it becomes this waterlogged sponge, or this wet sponge. And you can use a furnace to make it back into normal sponge. So if you don't have much sponge, you can reuse your sponge over and over in order to get some good use out of it. Now we have a nice air bubble in here and a door to make sure to keep the water out. Another nice thing is that sponge will recognize that there are blocks in the way and not suck up all of the ocean around your build. But if you're in the middle of building and there's, say, an open spot right here, you're not going to want to put down your sponge, because it might screw up some of the water around. Especially if you're near the surface, kind of like I'm building near the surface. So you do want to keep that in mind, that you should have a completely blocked off area before you start using sponge. If you are building and it gets dark, or you happen to decide to build a little bit deeper into the ocean, by the way, it'd be really cool to have a house inside of all of this seaweed. That would be really, really some cool stuff. Well, you're going to need to start focusing on getting some light. And we already have, oh my gosh, this is, wow, that's terrifying. Okay, whoa, a whole bunch of bats, a whole bunch of creepers, and a few spiders. Not a big deal. That's just the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. Okay, so we're gonna start focusing on putting down some light. And some tips for that are to use some natural sort of ocean lighting, like sea pickles, which can create a good source of light while still kind of looking natural inside of these sort of organic light sources. Or, of course, you can use the old techniques of placing down some blocks around your build. Sea lanterns are obviously fantastic because they already kind of feel very oceany. And, of course, glowstone will be very, very bright. And jack-o'-lanterns can be used underwater as well, and they're a little bit less resource intensive because you can grow your jack-o'-lanterns and then just use a torch instead of going into the nether to get glowstone. These have the same amount of light level. Now, lighting that you cannot use underwater includes end rods. Sorry, they won't stick, and same thing with torches. Torches and end rods will be detached because of the water flow. Another way to help yourself see underwater is to craft a conduit. And we've covered this in a previous episode, so I'm just gonna quickly go through it. The first step is to find a heart of the sea, which you should be able to find in these abandoned structures inside of chests. I'm actually not sure. No, there isn't one in here. I was really hoping that'd be quite cool. Or you can find them in the abandoned chests, that is, inside of shipwrecks or in buried treasure that are around and could be found with treasure maps. Once you have your heart of the sea, then you need some nautilus shells. You can get that from fishing quite a lot. And then you craft that into a conduit by placing it in the center and surrounding it with nautilus shells. Once you have the conduit, then you need to make yourself a structure, and that structure is basically rings of any type of prismarine. And so you do need to go find an ocean monument in order to get that prismarine. But you go ahead and start off with an X. Then you place your conduit inside of the center on top of one block, just like so. It creates its own light source. And then you are going to build around, and basically you are building circles. And see that you can see the light level increase and my vision being able to see so much more. Basically, you create as many circles as you can in a 3-dimensional space. So, and by circles, I mean these cubes here, as circular as you can get in Minecraft. And there you go. Now you have made the most effective conduit so that you can see way better. And remember, it's still night, okay? So this is how good you can see underwater once you have conduit power on yourself, which is pretty essential to living underwater. And the last tip that I would give you if you want to make the underwater your home is to have quite a lot of milk on you at all times. And the reason is because of these pufferfish that you can see in my inventory right here. They're really difficult to see if you're just swimming around. There's actually one right there because he's so small. But when you get close to him, he'll puff up and hit you with some pretty horrible poison. So if you don't want that to happen for a long time, you can drink some milk once you're poisoned here. Well, and of course, you also have to watch out for all the drown, and also lighting up your home would help with all the drown spawns. But you can get rid of that poison effect pretty quickly as long as you have some milk. Here, come on, give me some poison so I can drink some milk and show everybody. There we go. And milk will make that go away. And you'll get that conduit power right back if you happen to still be within the radius of the conduit. So have some fun living underwater with these awesome tips. Oh, by the way, the conduit power, I totally forgot to mention, helps you breathe underwater so that you don't need to constantly be taking breathing potions. Oh my gosh, let's go ahead and get inside of our little hidey hole right here. So conduit power is very, very, very useful if you're going to be living underwater.
That about wraps up all of my tips, but you guys are smarter than me most times. So let me know any additional tips that you can think of in the comments down below. The ones that I missed in this video. Help out the whole community, would ya? Thank you. Thanks so much for watching this episode of OMG Craft. If you enjoyed it, please hit that thumbs up button if you really enjoyed it. Make sure that you subscribe for future tips, tricks, tutorials, and spotlights here on OMG Craft, and hit that bell to turn on notifications to be part of the notification squad once I release a video. See you next time on OMG Craft.